Today is Friday, the 20th of October, 2017, and it is block height 490,874. Yes, Shinobi, what are you saying?
That's it's a pretty high block height there. You know, I hope nobody has a fear of heights.
We've come a long way. That's a lot of blocks, Rick.
Yeah,
what up, buddy?
Saying, hey everyone, it's a great. I don't know, beginning of the year to now.
Happy $6,000 day. Happy $6,000 day, everybody.
Cheers.
This is the artwork. This is the artwork that Rick slaved over for 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars today. No, that's not true. Actually, it's a total lie. We didn't pay him anything. He doesn't get paid, Jackal. He's just a slave.
It's entertaining, I'll say that.
Shanine, what's up?
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Acnix, come in.
Wait, you're saying we can get paid for this kind of thing?
Well, it's not official, but Shinobi is like the treasurer, and he told me that there's a lot of bitcoins. There's a lot of bitcoins been donated.
We're gonna bro down, bro. We're gonna bro down. Look at how close we are to the bro down list. We 75 more people, and we can really bro down.
Yeah, that's when we get the super chat. 75 more subscribers. So make sure that if you don't like the show, unsubscribe right now. Make sure you hit the dislike button, because I want real metrics. I don't want vanity metrics. I want real metrics. So if you've been watching this show for a while and you're like, actually, this is kind of average, just unsubscribe. Simple. And then we can just be that much further away from the shilly super chat where you can bribe us to answer your questions.
Anti-SEO.
What? That's not a good pitch? I'm anti-SEO. That's exactly what I am. I'm trying
donation address in the description if you don't want to.
I'm actually the most evil marketer of all time, because really what I'm doing is just reverse psychology. That's an evil marketer right there.
Your Jedi mind tricks no work on me. Only man.
Yeah, those Jedi mind tricks are hot at work right now in Bitcoin, because it's yet another bullshit story that isn't even real. We're starting with fake news. We normally end with the fake news. This show, we start with fake news. Zimbabwe, panic sends Bitcoin soaring over $6,000. That's a bullshit headline if ever I've heard one. So this is almost certainly untrue. And it's the rumor put out today by Zero Hedge, who've done this before, saying that the price of Bitcoin in Zimbabwe is $10,000. Well, of course it is. The liquidity's shit. And there's no, very little sell demand there. And of course, you're going to find some weird market in Zimbabwe selling a Bitcoin for $10,000. Of course you are. You could do that in any number of places where Bitcoin isn't all that popular, where internet connectivity isn't that great. And frankly, people there have got other concerns. That Bitcoin can be the savior of poor people in hot countries, usually in the Southern Hemisphere. And at press time, the article states, local Bitcoin Zimbabwe has people buying Bitcoin at the global average and some buying the cryptocurrency for cash for well over $10,000. Yeah, see, just in the cash market. It's not like, bank transfers or anything. And Bitcoin, as every Bitcoiner would expect, is helping people in the country survive times of economic. How is it doing that? Right, come on. So I'm bored of this already.
I guess it's about holding the value, because the thing that I was reading was that they were in economic crisis, and that they're using this to pay bills, and businesses are getting involved. And the exchange, it does mention. Let me see the name of it again. It's Golix, I think. Golix.io. I'm looking at it right now. It's at $8,900, and the high was $99.54.99. So I don't know what exchange this is, but yeah, it does mention people on the ground are paying more than $10,000, which, I'm sure there's probably an inflated rate for it there if they're really having economic uncertainty, but I don't know if it's that high. Like you're saying, I mean, probably just fake news.
Yeah, but they're not buying their bread with it. They're just speculating with it. Right. So
yeah.
You're dealing with people in that country that have disposable income enough that they can speculate on this stuff. I mean, as I understand it, there are countries in the world, like places like India, certain regions where people are trading gold derivatives on the street. Right. And there's just crowds of people and one guy with a cell phone, and they're all shouting prices, and this guy's confirming it over the phone to his guy in the office, you know, a few miles away. But it's not, they're not buying the gold because they want to use it as any form of currency. They're just speculating. It's gambling. They're not.
You can make,
people aren't using Bitcoins in Zimbabwe to buy food, are they? They're using it because they expect the money to go up.
Yeah, but that's the inflation hedge. I mean, one could argue. And just one kind of anecdotal thing I wanted to point out is I don't remember if it was Nigeria or Zimbabwe previously, but when we were starting to run up from like 600 or 700, I believe, last year, there were cases of in either country Bitcoin selling for over $1,000. So they kind of did have like a similar huge spike above market price before everybody else started driving. I mean, for what that's worth.
Why aren't they using Bcash? Satoshi's vision.
It keeps going down in price. Why would you hedge against inflation in something that goes down?
Good. Is Bcash losing its value as quickly as the Zimbabwe dollar?
I don't think that fast.
That's where I've been wondering.
I mean, it could be competing with it.
Like, they might not be using Bitcoin, but their Zimbabwe dollar, I know it's not, you know, I mean, it might be getting them the bread on the street, but I think that's the thing, is they're just trying to escape that. They don't want to hold a bunch of those dollars. You see that bill, and there's $1 trillion.
Most people in African countries either use cash or they use their mobile phone, which is tied to, you know, Safaricom or one of these centralized places. They're not using Bitcoin, and they certainly don't have access to the kind of computing hardware that would be able to run a full node. So even if they were using a Bitcoin wallet, it's bad enough in central London trying to buy something with Bitcoin, right? I can't imagine how difficult it would be there. And sometimes when you buy stuff with Bitcoin, they will insist that you use a particular type of app, right? Because it will be tied in. You've got to give your email address and your phone number or something like that when you register the Bitcoin address. So I can't imagine how difficult it would be. When I was in Johannesburg, there was a whole bunch of people from countries like Zimbabwe that would come in and literally be carrying television sets down the street and then packing them into the back of these cars, because they would come to South Africa to buy all the consumables to take them back. And then like they would be exploiting the exchange rate, or they were doing something like this. I really can't imagine that Bitcoin has got any use in somewhere like Zimbabwe for any other reason than just like, yeah, as you say, dodging the inflation. But I don't think that's what drove it over 6,000. I just think it's just a silly story they put out, and the narrative becomes self-perpetuating. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The price ends up going up just because everyone expects it to, based on this story that's put out, and then other media outlets pick it up.
Yeah.
So you don't think that the Zimbabweans decided to just buy up a bunch of Bcash, and then that block hit and they all panicked and they lost all their money, and then they decided to buy into Bitcoin because like they learned their lesson, and then like that they had like hyperinflation of their currency and stuff? I don't know. That sounds like it's plausible.
Imagine if you were like in a really poor country and your nation state's currency was collapsing and you accidentally bought Bcash because you went to bitcoin.com.
I'm an asshole.
Oh, Rex.
I'm such an asshole for laughing, but like that's like that would be entirely people like Roger's fault. And like this is like I have said this for years. Like, we are not playing a game anymore. This is not an experiment. People count on this asset for their livelihood. Like, I have directly introduced people to Bitcoin who ended up counting on it to put food in their families' mouths because of the situation they were in prior to that. And yeah, just a random interjection, but we're not playing games anymore.
And
a
side story that I had.
Go on.
A side story I had related to that. One of the things I think is even less helpful is than someone accidentally buying Bcash is a homeless person being given an altcoin besides Bitcoin. there's been a lot of projects lately that are in the business or of trying to, like, they either create an altcoin or they market their altcoin as being useful to people in need. And I think that I'm not going to name any specific ones, but I think people are not being as careful as they should be. Like, not to give his name, but there was a certain rich person in the Bitcoin community giving out Dash to homeless people. And when I saw that, I was like, first of all, the chances that a homeless person will be able to find a place that accepts any cryptocurrency is slim to none. And that's assuming that they know how to use it and that they even have enough in the first place to even, I mean, because there's an exchange rate and everything. So it's going to be difficult for them to buy things. I can't think of anything worse. If I was a homeless person, if someone gave me cryptocurrency as a donation, I would want to get Bitcoin just because not because the value goes up, but because it's the most widely accepted coin. So if I had any chance of being able to spend it, I would want to have Bitcoin. What is someone going to do with Dash? How many restaurants where a homeless person would need to buy food or clothing or a place to sleep? How many places would accept Dash? I'm sorry, but I thought that was a really insensitive thing to do. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree that, there's a lot of people all over the world who are using Bitcoin to hedge against inflation and, repressive governments who are stealing their money.
Well, I'm still rooting for Startcoin. I think Startcoin can make a huge difference to people's lives, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Anyway, $6,000. Happy $6,000, everybody! Congratulations!
Thank you, Zimbabwe.
You FOMO'd. Yeah, yeah. It's all thanks to Zimbabwe. I keep calling Zimbabwe. We pushed the price over 6,000.
I'm a little confused with that image because, I mean, I get that it's trying to make Bitcoin look like this, like, treasure and everything. But remember what happened in the Indiana Jones movie when he picked up that Bitcoin, he almost got crushed by a boulder. I don't know if that's the best image to use.
But it was a really precious artwork, right? And the Nazis needed it, right? Or something.
True.
I can't remember.
But
I fell asleep halfway through.
I hope that people buying Bitcoin right now aren't going to get crushed by some metaphorical boulder on their way out.
Cool. And this is a really shit article from MarketWatch. It's just full of filler and it's not really very interesting. It's just really predictable. They probably had all the body text already worked up before they went to press. And it was just, full of platitudes. Right. Next. Mastercard. So the show title is Priceless for a reason. All the smart ones among you would have worked it out. Rick, what's going on? Talk me through. Let me show you the infomercial, though. Here you go. Look at that. Ooh, the command line. We're so geeky. Oh, we put an infographic over the top of the command line. Now it's even better. Now it's like sexy geek.
Yeah, it feels like all those great promises, all within an API that feels like it's going to solve all the problems with Mastercard and the way that they currently settle up and the way they handle things. And I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, we were talking about how Mastercard's got the gold card where it's Peter Schiff, I think is his name, where he's got gold tied to it, similar to BitPay and Bitcoin. And they just can't keep their hands out of this space because, I mean, it is growing so much. And, just looking at this Mastercard press release, they said they got over 35 patents in blockchain and they've invested in Digital Currency Group. And they also joined the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. So I don't know, between all these like big promises and just like the names involved and patents and all this stuff, it just seems so not crypto. It's just something I'm sure Shinobi could do a better description detailing out what it is, but as far as I understand, it's just an API.
Guys, we added a cryptographic key to our API. We're a blockchain now. Look, everybody, we're a blockchain now.
Yeah, it's about that bad. And And it goes on. I don't know. To me, it gets kind of worse whenever it looks like they just put out their own little news desk and their own press release talking about gender equality and blockchain. I don't know. To me, the whole story just seems like they're just trying to put their foot in the space, and they're trying to make sure they got the right shirts on for politics and everything, to where I guess they can start broing down.
I think Mastercard have been broing down for some time, haven't they?
Yeah, this is kind of silly though. This is like a Visa, I believe. They had a micropayments API they were opening for developers a while back. It's like, what are they doing when they think just adding a new element to their existing centralized API and equating that to a blockchain? I mean, like the pilot that Mastercard is doing with this right now, they say it's only for financial investment payments and business to business payments, and it's still just a validator, a trusted validator that they run that you query through an API. And like, in what way is that a blockchain? But that's effectively just adding some elements of cryptography to their existing system, throwing a buzzword on top, and then going, look at us, we can do that too. Don't worry about the fact that we're caught in a regulatory net that these other things aren't. We're a blockchain now, guys. Like, come on, use us instead.
Yeah, you got to tick all those boxes. And that's really why the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance exists and all these other, digital currency group. It's really so they can get the legacy system to opt in. And that way they get to put a sticker on it. And it's like, yeah, all these like geeks, these people in their bedrooms made this thing go viral. It was an unanticipated, product offering that the Bitcoin really came off. It wasn't like something that somebody like sat down and conspired with. It was, fairly organic process. I think lots of people kept coming in. And as they came in, that they would have a certain input into the ecosystem. And I think that, Vitalik was like, well, the opportunity here is like we can get the suits involved, because their pain point in business studies talk about pain points a lot. Their pain point is they're getting left out, right? And they need to remain relevant. And this is how they stay relevant, by being part of something called the Ethereum Alliance.
I think they decided that they shouldn't miss out on the new money. PayPal. They're like, we must not miss this opportunity. And they had to get in. So the API is the first step, and then they'll make a pretty website.
No, the website's already done.
But it's not James. Pretty. It's got to be pretty.
I just want to say to James Bond, you look very sexy today too. Thanks very much. Checking out in the chat. Yes, yes. Right, are we done slagging off Mastercard, or have we got any more material?
I think the punchlines are dry.
Right, let's go to mining. We don't actually have Blake Anderson with us, unfortunately. Couldn't join us today. We do have a mining story. It's a bit of a shame, really, because the one time he hasn't been on. One time we need him.
He's supposed to talk about mining. It's like, shit. Well, I guess I'll give it a try.
Go on, then.
Well, okay. To do my amateur attempt at talking about mining, the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company is pretty much where Bitmain gets all their chips produced. It's one of the biggest chip manufacturers in the world, based out of Taiwan. And right now they're claiming an almost 20%, I believe, increase in volume this quarter over the last. And they're attributing most of this to mobile devices and specific applications such as mining hardware. So this is, I'm gonna get a little farty here for a minute and do a long-term projection. But we're not even 10 years old yet, and we already have one of the biggest semiconductor manufacturers in the world attributing a large chunk of their quarter-over-quarter growth to just mining chips. Well, like, let's project this out long term and think about this for a while. Like, there's always the possibility that Bitcoin, it just falls into a niche Like we don't take over the world. We never become a reserve world currency. But let's assume we do for a minute. But let's assume that this price just keeps going vertical. We go into the hundreds of thousands, the millions, tens of millions. Lot of incentive to manufacture mining chips. A lot. It's not going to have any real relationship with the ability to manufacture those chips, because the price is going to be there, so is the incentive. And I have to wonder, really, in the long term, like, do we have the infrastructure to actually handle that kind of explosion in the desire to produce these specific chips? Because we only have so many like chip foundries in the world. They only have so much capacity. And so just to kind of throw out a little brain fart there, like, think about the possibility that the day comes where other types of chips needed for other devices that are important in their own way for society, we don't have the capacity for that because everybody's producing Bitcoin ASICs because that's more profitable. Like, what kind of effects could that potentially have on just society at large when you have the production runs of general purpose computer chips shrinking by the day because all of these foundries' capacities start getting eaten up by ASICs? Like, what does that world look like?
Aknix, what does that world look like? Bitcoin eats the world.
I think it's the process of mining out the backdoors via data science. It's weird, and that sounds retarded, but there's some logic there. I think that basically the demand for chips is just.
It's just what? Oh no.
Wrecked.
Lost him. It's just wrecked. I think it's just so high that the only thing that chips will be able to do in the future is solve SHA-256. That's all they'll be able to do.
What? Well, I mean, really think about the economics of that. I mean, if it's more profitable for TSMC to just not produce the chips for the next iPhone and make a bunch of Bitcoin ASICs instead, why wouldn't they? I mean, this is all markets, and I mean, markets are driven by the incentive to make a profit, the biggest profit you can. And so that really just comes down to capacity. I mean, if Bitcoin's price really does get that high, if it really does get that influential on a global scale, manufacturers start asking questions like that. And what other effects would that have rippling out through the economy? I mean, like, could you potentially, or could we wind up in an environment where new computing devices are most people can afford? That they become some kind of a luxury good, or something that you have to have political connections to get manufactured?
Yeah, if the utility of mining Bitcoin isn't higher than just using a computer for everyday purposes, then yeah, you're right. It could just become a luxury.
And that's got really interesting implications just for the infrastructure of the world. I mean, like, most people in that world, we would be stuck with secondhand devices. Like, there would be no more, oh, the next iPhone, I'm going to get that when it comes out in the fall. You have what you have, and you have to make that work.
Yeah.
Like, you have to keep it running. You have to fix things when they break down. And it's that would really be a stick in the wheel of the conventional consumerist attitude that we have towards electronics right now.
Aknix, are you back? No, not yet. I'm sure he's getting his mic set up. What I'll do is I will take a quick break into this public service announcement, which is, has somebody seen these 50 Bitcoins that were lost by a gentleman who has also frequented the Block Digest chat room? He's lost 50 Bitcoins and he's hoping that someone can find them. He's not sure. He thinks he last saw them around 1 hash when he says that he accidentally paid 50 Bitcoins in fees in a transaction, and it was totally an accident. And he told the story. It was a heartbreaking story in the Mumble chat. and he was saying how he thought the fee, when it came up in the wallet software, he thought the fee was in his local currency. He didn't understand that the fee was 50 Bitcoins. And this was sometime back in January. Well, he also reached out to Jimmy Song, and Jimmy Song, who's a bit of a legend, a bit of a hero. He's like using his Medium and I'm sure other outlets to help draw awareness for this. So the 50 Bitcoins that were spent in the fees will probably have ended up going to somebody at One Hash. I think it's a pool, right, Shinobi? So either the pool has it or somebody from the pool may have been given it. I'm not sure. And what Jimmy's done is he's got the person in question to sign a message with the address that they use to send the Bitcoins, and so that anyone can verify that he has control over the key. Now, you might think to yourself, well, how do we know that he didn't just take the key? Well, we're going to have to go with this chap's word, obviously, because it's unlikely that on the one hand he spent a 50 Bitcoin transaction fee, and then by another coincidence also, the key was stolen. I think that's too many coincidences. But no, he sounds sincere to me when he came into the chat room. It's one of these heartbreaking stories, and I just think it would be so awesome and amazing if we could get this guy his coins back. I just think it would just say a lot for this community. I think it would speak a lot to the critics who think that it's just a Wild West and no one cares about each other and it's all trustless and anarchic and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify something about this. If anyone who's watching the show doesn't use Bitcoin regularly or hasn't sent a transaction in a while, most wallets will not allow you to send a fee that large. That's most wallets have a safety feature that either warn you that you're overpaying the fee. I don't know if they'll let you send a fee that large. I think they probably will, but they'll at least warn you before you send the transaction that the fee is really too high, and that will give you the opportunity to fix it if you did mistake what the currency was denominated in. The reason why this happened in this case is because the wallet being used was a blockchain.info wallet, which is notorious for having tons of user interface problems. So yeah, if any of you are using a blockchain.info wallet, this is something you have to look out for. You always have to make sure that you check that the denomination of the fee is the one that you recognize what the amount is, and that based on the denomination of the currency.
Yeah, and I just want to say again, good on Jimmy Song for doing this. That's really kind of you. And I really hope that we can get this money back to its original owner. And hopefully the miner didn't go off and spend it on hookers and blow. Right. Now, Bitcoin Gold. Let's talk about Bitcoin Gold. Let's talk about Wright. Let's talk about this stupid hard fork, which is currently trading at $175 on a futures market. So Rhett put in, I think, some kind of PR, I guess, or some kind of commit. This looks like a commit to me. And he removed the miner reward. Now, if you don't know Rhett's work, he was previously a Bitcoin Unlimited supporter, or certainly a big block supporter. He then wrote an apology and said, actually, this movement isn't what I thought it was. This is more about other things. I thought it was just about increasing the block size. I think he still believes that he does want the block size to increase. He is also the founder of Z Classic, which was the Zcash clone, which didn't have the sort of quite nefarious sort of mining reward there, where miners have to give away a certain amount to the founders reward. I'm sorry, that's right, that's what it's called, the founders reward from Zcash. So he made Z Classic. That was very popular around whale pool at the time. I was really interested. I tried mining with it on my computer. It was really CPU friendly. So he's at it again. And this time he's removed the mining reward from Bitcoin Gold, and he's saying, well, just let the miners decide, which client they want to use. Do they want to use this one, or do they want to use the one with the pre-mine in it? And so that's where he's at. I will just warn everyone about Bitcoin Gold. This is a post up on cryptocurrency subreddit, and does go into some details and accusations that maybe it is a scam. Wow, a scam in crypto. I mean, who would have thought? Um, Bitcoin Gold is in fact a scam in bold. So yeah, it's all in the description below, all the links. Panel.
Is this the first Bitcoin fork of a Bitcoin fork?
It's a fork of a fork. It's a fork of a fork before the forks even happen, though, because it hasn't even been released yet. So all he's doing is giving everyone a choice. So there could actually be a split as soon as this happens. I like it.
Well, I've got interested in how you do a pre-mine airdrop, like pre-mine in the middle of the chain. Like I saw that it was something about they're going to stop at a certain block height and mine 8,000 blocks or so with before they, I guess, drop everything out. It's just it's really weird. I don't know. I don't really care much for all these different airdrop coins and quote unquote derivatives. I sort of see them as a nuisance.
Let's just see whether the price of actual gold goes down faster.
Yeah, let's see if it can outcompete gold by dropping. Monkey, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, I haven't honestly looked too much into the Bitcoin golds. I'm kind of a little confused as to how this pre-mine is going to work, like Rick. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's at this point, unless we have both of these drop to zero, unless we see Bcash drop to zero, the New York fork drop to zero when it forks off, I think that we're just in for a year of the fork. I mean, unless we see all of these initial waves pretty much go to zero or effectively zero, people are going to keep doing this. I mean, we have all the legislative uncertainty dealing with ICOs and the liabilities or responsibilities of people issuing that. Whereas with Bitcoin, we have like a new gray area now. Like if things are made black and white regarding ICOs, we still have that gray area regarding forks from Bitcoin. And I mean, it is what it is. Even with the down pressure off the gate, like if they don't have the gray area that they used to, they're going to make use of the one they do.
With each fork that comes along, people just lose interest, I think, and they just get dumped even harder. And unless you're actually bringing something to the table, I think if we ever do have a fork, it'll be somebody probably within Bitcoin Core that actually wants to separate off, because I don't think that there's enough talent outside of that group right now that has enough interdisciplinary knowledge that they can actually execute faithfully, over the long term. It's not just about releasing the fork. You've got to have ongoing engineering as well. And that's what a lot of the, these forkers don't really take into account beforehand. Right, let's talk about somebody that started his chain back down in 2010, back then 2009. Charlene, do you want to talk about this? So this guy here, he started a project called Bitcoin back in 2009, right? And CoinDesk are currently, we ended yesterday's show, we CoinDesk's influencer list. But then I don't get it, because he's claiming he's not on there, but they're saying you are on there, just under your real name, not fake name. So I don't get it.
Yeah, so for anyone who didn't see yesterday's show, we did mention that CoinDesk is doing this most influential person in cryptocurrency kind of survey. And actually the funnier part for me is they've been adding new people, like I think it's Mike in Space from Bitcoin Car Talk. They actually did add him because apparently he wrote this long Medium post about why he was so offended that he wasn't included. And they also keep adding more people just because I guess they keep getting suggestions, and I don't know, they can't really say no. But this tweet was probably the funniest thing to come out of it, because so start off with Vinny saying that, oh, this influencer survey won't be controversial. And then someone asked, well, where's Craig Wright? And Craig Wright says, oh, CoinDesk is against me. They probably is saying that they wouldn't add him to the list because they don't like him. And then whoever runs the CoinDesk Twitter says that, well, Satoshi Nakamoto is on the list. That means you're on the list, right? And everyone thought this was hilarious because, it's basically him admitting that he's not Satoshi, or at least he doesn't recognize Satoshi Nakamoto as being him, and so it's kind of like a slip on his part. And yeah, everyone thought it was hilarious.
That's kind of hard to keep the lies straight in your head when you're a con man 24/7.
Allegedly a con man. That hasn't been proved.
I allege that it is a fact that Craig Wright is a con man.
Shinobi is the sole proprietor of this YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and
there
the
was
views
actually
expressed on the show do not necessarily represent the views of the host.
There was actually an article in Motherboard today about, I guess one of their journalists tried to contact Craig Wright to, again, tried to get to the bottom of his Satoshi claim. And he says that talking with Craig Wright in text chat is a really, I think he described it as a frustrating experience because Craig Wright either doesn't answer the question or he responds with smiley face emojis. So that was interesting to read.
But see, Craig is like a really interesting character. I actually spent a lot of time in his private Slack room before I got booted out for talking about it in public. But like he just A/B tests narratives, and he waits to see if people like buy it or it sinks in, and if it doesn't, he just moves on and he starts A/B testing another narrative. I mean, like, look at like the John Old Fuchsball article on Lightning Network, where he air quotes proves that it can't scale. He makes the fallacious assumption that the entire network has to function without any channels opening or closing. Well, all of that article, it's not John Old. That was literally, I watched him literally just eat up all of this nonsense that Craig Wright was spewing about the Lightning Network, and then he just compiled it and put it in a Medium article and posted it. And that's what like this entire circle surrounding him does. They just eat up his nonsense, that they fill it in and make it look authoritative, and then they publish it. And I mean, they tried the same thing with segregated witness. If you notice, like the argument has kind of shifted right now to SegWit isn't a real Bitcoin because the signatures are gone, because the white paper said there are chains of signatures. Narrative, like 3 or 4 months ago, the narrative was that it was illegal to segregate the signatures because you're voiding a legal contract. Because Craig somehow, trying to play lawyer, conflated the definition of a signature with a legal contract and a cryptographic signature on a piece of data. And the second that he tried having a piece published on CoinDesk, lawyers stepped up left and right and pointed out that conflation was complete nonsense. And he tried to push it for a little bit, and then the narrative fell to the wayside. What's he going to try and A/B test next? Because if you really pay attention, he never has a consistent narrative. It's always changing when the last one gets called out.
Yeah, I just want to say that this guy from CoinDesk needs to be given a bonus. But whoever was running the Twitter account just needs to get rewarded for that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, to follow up on what Shinobi is saying, Craig Wright, it was something that was also noted in the Motherboard article, but he has a habit of wearing sunglasses indoors when he goes to conferences.
Well, that means
right. Theo has a habit of wearing hoodies indoors, and it's not even raining. I mean, it is raining right now in Berlin, but and then he leaves.
No, Theo! No!
Theo's left.
And I also saw, I don't know where they got it from because they didn't link to any website, but someone tweeted like it was a comparison of Satoshi's tweets from the Bitcoin Talk forum versus Craig Wright's stuff that he's either written on his blog or tweeted. And it looked like the way it was arranged, because it had pictures for each of the quotes that it was comparing, and it looked like it came from a website. But if it didn't, I really think we need a website that actually does that compares like all of Satoshi's quotes from Bitcoin Talk forum and compares them to things that Craig Wright has said. I think that would be very valuable because there would probably be a lot to compare with.
I can give you a contradiction right now. Satoshi intentionally lowered the soft limit on the block from 100 kilobytes to 50 to test the fee market. He literally told a user complaining about fees in so many words, tough shit. His exact words were, well, if you have a problem with paying the fees, you can run your own node, minor in this context, and maybe one day collect a 0.4 Bitcoin fee for yourself. He also, as I showed the other day, was the originator of the idea of a payment channel. And these are all things that Craig Wright completely contradicts. He has openly said a number of times that a fee should be optional and a user should never have to pay a fee. That's in direct contradiction with what Satoshi said on numerous occasions. He tries to say that payment channels and Lightning networks are just unworkable. His original narrative, again, to kind of show how things have changed, were that Lightning networks are custodial systems where people are issued debt. Nonsense, because they have to be collateralized. So how do you loan somebody Bitcoin to put into a payment channel if they can just go run away with it and not put it in the payment channel? But and he does this when Satoshi himself is where the idea of a payment channel came from. If you like, everybody needs to look on Amazon. I think it's the Book of Satoshi, but there's actually a compilation with a little bit of a framework of pretty much all of his forum writings. And you can actually look in depth into all the things that he said and talked about, except the white paper. A lot more than was in the white paper.
Well, maybe he's just changed his mind. I mean, it has been, 8 or 9 years. So maybe he just changed his mind about that stuff, maybe.
That's what I thought too, but at the same time, like if I changed my mind so fundamentally that I went from advocating a certain feature to then saying it was dangerous to the network or it was centralized, blah, 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 I feel like I would, especially if I'm still haven't substantiated my claim of being a, the creator of a very valuable currency, I would want to explain why I had changed my mind, especially when it was such a stark difference on so many different topics. Like what happened in between that made him change his mind? He hasn't ever explained that.
Well, maybe we should ask him. Maybe we should get him on here, and the AXA-owned Blockstream core, whatever shill army like Shinobi, they can put the questions to him.
Oh, and by the way,
on our BTC.
There was a very because a lot of people have been wondering what his handle means on Twitter, and it's actually a reference to let me just pull it up really quick. It's in the motherboard article.
What's it a reference to? I'm dying to know now.
Oh, I'm pulling it up right now.
Can't wait to find out.
Something ironic.
What's the handle? What's the handle name again?
Okay, so
Professor Faustus.
Professor. Yeah, okay, it's a reference to a play in which a man sells his soul to the devil and is damned by his own pride. That's an interesting reference to you. Yeah, it's the play is called Dr. Faustus.
Yeah, Dr. Faustus, yeah.
Nice.
It's by Christopher Marlowe.
That's pretty crazy. It is Shinobi, it is called, there is the Book of Satoshi. It does have the collection. Not the author, but it's a guy from North Carolina. Is in North Carolina.
Is he from Southeast North Carolina?
I don't know. I think he's from Eastern North Carolina. So I've met him.
North Carolina. So basically, Northeast Carolina.
No, yeah, right. You walk in a circle, and then it's northeast.
Right.
And even better, if you look on World Crypto Network, 2014 sometime, there's an interview I did, put the book together, and it's made with a handheld generation smartphone. Check that out. Crypto Network. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to the World Crypto Network today. Do it. Do it now. Unsubscribe from this one.
But Shinobi, that's cool. That is a really cool. I'm gonna go get it. I have it. I have to just find where I put it. election, because it does, like you said, it's not only the white paper. There's mailing list stuff, and it's not about like worshiping tongue or something like that, like having the Book of Satoshi. Get, that's more than just, there's discussions and stuff, and it's actually pretty interesting. I already covered it, but I agree, this guy who runs the CoinDesk is really on fire. That was like one of the, basically what should happen is the guy that or the girl or whoever that runs there should be added to their own list of most influential social media people.
Yeah, we should add the person from CoinDesk that runs the Twitter account to the influencers list. So Theo, what are you drinking today? I'm drinking a Japanese single malt Yochi. There you go.
I'm not drinking anything. Water. I'm drinking water.
Straight from the bottle. Straight from the bowl.
Yeah. We want to. So we'll do next time, Chris. Instead of posing with the single malt, we'll measure it at the beginning of the episode, and then we'll measure it at the end. So that we can, and then you can do a blockchain timestamp or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then film it with your 4K. And do a
camera. Yeah.
And they do the 4K, and then we'll put that on archive.org so that it's all legit. That we actually did the drinking. We're not just posing.
Yeah. All right, guys, we need to have like a every drinking special, like where all of us just get shit faced.
Drinking special.
But but I want to say that you've not only do you have a 4K camera, but you're also working on other aspects of the content quality. That there are some candles right there. Now they need to be lit, but that is maybe a fire hazard. So it's a nice addition.
My candles,
they're very subtle.
Tomorrow I'm going to get a floral blouse. And I'm just thinking of like pimping up the whole furniture situation, because like all I've really got here are these antique cameras. I mean, I need to pimp that up a little bit.
Those are pretty nice. Those are nice.
Yeah. Look at those. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're amazing. And he's got all these kind of globes everywhere, and he's got these vinyl records. Wow. It's not for those of you who don't know, I'm in an Airbnb. This isn't my furniture. I don't have that. I don't even have anywhere to live, let alone taste enough to like fill up the place with furniture like this. Right. All right. Let's go look at a cult classic, contemporary cult classic that some might say is just Marxist propaganda, but other people really like it. It's called Mr. Robot. I mean, I don't know, Marxist propaganda pretty much is, but it's just like some kind of lefty bullshit.
I resent that. I resent that. I think that is all right. That is an overly simplistic analysis of the show that ignores the complexity of the character developments and the obvious trend towards sucking people in with Marxist bullshit and then slowly showing people how completely and utterly retarded it is.
What, are they doing that in season 3? Because I only watched up to season 2, the end of season 2. So did they kind of dispel the Marxism in season 3?
They started it in season 2 a little bit, and there's spoiler warning for anybody who's not caught up, but like the entire second season was them pretty much going, oh shit, what the fuck did we do, after they completely collapsed the conventional financial system. Like it wasn't like partying and like, yay, utopia. It was everybody sitting around looking at things go to shit and going, why did we do this again?
That sounds like a standard thing called self-criticism that Maoists do. So it sounds like it's gone from Marxism to hardcore Maoism when they go into self-criticism circles, and everybody says the things that they did bad and kind of shames themselves. So maybe Marxism is wrong and Maoism is the right.
Okay, so it's a Maoist propaganda then, yeah.
Okay,
can we get on with the story, please?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the reason that we're mentioning it today is because apparently the latest episode had a lot. I mean, in the past season, they had references to Bitcoin, and also eCoin, which, if you're not familiar with the show, is the currency that the corporation is it E Corp? Yeah, E Corp is running eCoin. It's like this evil corporation in the show. And I haven't watched the episode yet, but there's been a few analysis of it, and there was also a discussion between some technologists that was published through Motherboard, and apparently the gist of the show in regards to the Bitcoin references was that the show says that China is actually behind Bitcoin, and I guess they're doing that apparently based on the real life mining monopoly that is in the Bitcoin market in China. So that's why they did that. More interestingly, in this show, there's a lot more Bitcoin versus eCoin eCoin is a bigger theme, because more people are using eCoin. It's like, I guess it's become more of a standard currency at this point. And they represent Bitcoin as being still the freedom currency or the free currency that is now competing against eCoin, which is a centralized, creation of E Corp. So that was I thought that was an interesting take for the show to have. And there's I don't know if you'll get the audio, but there's a short clip from Peter Van Valkenburg from Coin Center, who was actually in a panel of people talking about Bitcoin, and I thought his comments were interesting. And there's also a full video that you can watch on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description to the full video. This is a clip. We can't really do sound, unfortunately, on these live streams. It doesn't work very well. But yeah, you should go check it out. And I haven't actually started watching season 3 yet. So I'm looking forward to that and them coming around more to sort of Maoism rather than just Marxism, which I think is a lot more interesting. Yeah, let all those millions of people starve, like those tens of millions of people. Okay, I'm not going to get myself into trouble like I did a few days ago. Moving on. Well, that's it. That's the end of the show. We haven't got anything else for you. How about you? But I want to get on with my weekend.
Yeah.
Well, Communist China is still here. Communist China is still here, and the USSR isn't, says above us below. Not really very communist nowadays, though, are they?
Yeah. Well, they got that Congress going on right now. We'll see how that shakes out.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Good point. They do. And nice Airbnb. Yes, it is. It's off season right now. So we're in the autumn. And so they're going cheap. And we're also going to Riga as well in Latvia in a few weeks at the end of November for the Honey Badger conference. And got myself a nice loft apartment there very cheaply. Actually cheaper, can you believe it? Cheaper to live on these Airbnbs than it is to rent in London. I'm not kidding. It says a lot, doesn't it, about the state of the economy. So yeah. What are my options? I mean, just travel around. And that's for 2 people, by the way. That's for Janine and me. So,
Yeah, you get to travel around a little bit.
Yeah, see places, exactly.
Around
cool.
To that next
All right.
place.
Final thoughts, everybody. I'm just looking through the troll box.
I think the troll box wants you to develop a morphine addiction like Elliot from Mr. Robot.
Really? I don't see that. Where are they saying that I need to start morphine addiction?
Dan Bolser at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when does Chris start snorting the morphine? Well, I mean, I could do that. Right now I'm trying to become an alcoholic. I guess I could go into morphine.
That just reminded me of
skip the middle stuff.
Skip the middle stuff. Just go straight to the hard stuff. Yeah.
That just reminded me of a weird joke that I saw on Twitter today, where someone said that you can't take ketamine; it's for horses. And then the person responded, "Dude, you're drinking milk that's intended for a baby cow." I just thought that was a really weird thing to say.
That's a really interesting thing to say. I don't think ketamine's all that natural.
It just reminded me of that just now.
Cool.
Drugs are bad, okay?
So when are we going to 7,000?
Got to move to Zimbabwe.
It's after the weekend. Let's go party, have a nice fun weekend, and we'll go to 7K when we get back on Monday.
All right, we'll just chill out. We'll get there in our own time. It's no problem. Not in any rush. We just need more third world countries to start putting out rumors that they're driving up the price.
I think the real question is, when are we going to be able to use the over 9,000 memes?
Oh yeah, we should start making memes right now and tell people, if you will pump the price up, we can release these memes. It's like unlocking, like we gamify the market. The market will become a joke. All the like efficient theory hypothesis people will just be like, they've ruined free market economics. Markets no longer operate the way they used to because they've attached rewards for getting to certain price points. And now everyone wants to see those memes spread across the internet. That's a genius idea. All right, Rick, get to work on that. Get to work on that.
$1,000 rare Pepe every
I want a 10,000. I want a series of $10,000 memes ready by Monday, and we're going to get this thing to 10,000. And I want you to work on 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, respectively, in that order. And we unlock them as we get to each stage. We just wrap the whole thing up in a bubblegum UI. The whole world will just be one big iPhone app in the future. Everything will be that easy.
I like that.
That's it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, everything.
Well,
everything is just an iPhone app. You know. Yeah.
Everything's an iPhone app. UX developers will take over the world, and they'll gamify all the things.
Well, what if? Well, I mean, well, you just have to create just the one of those app generators. You just put the ideas in, you hit the button, and then it spits out the app. You don't even need the developers anymore. You just need someone to
the rescue.
Okay, yeah. So,
we'll
all right, everybody.
Gamify the gamification. That's what we'll do. Gamify gamification.
Everybody in the chat and the comments, put what goals, what you would pump the price for. What do we need to do? Do we need to have people drink a whole bottle of whiskey live on air? Or do we need to have people, stand on their head while lighting the candlesticks? Or whatever, prize you want, what should be the prizes for these, for these price targets? That's what we can. So everybody has to.
Look at that.
All the way down. There you go. That's a good portion there.
Yeah.
Hey, you've had enough of that today.
But there is no such
I
thing.
only started at 11 o'clock this morning.
Aren't you guys going to go out now? This is just a pregame.
Go and get a kebab or something.
Okay.
Shoot some 4K video.
See what I feel like.
Oh yeah, do some 4K video
of me. Yeah, of me eating the kebab and downing a bottle of whiskey at the same time. But only if you get Bitcoin to $10,000.
We need to finish the ICO cream.
ICO cream. I like it. All right, you need to go trademark that right now. We're releasing it. We're going to do an ICO for ICO cream. Apple juice in a whiskey bottle.
It's melting.
No,
it's
dude,
melting.
this thing is like, it's not, it's definitely not apple juice, man. It's just 45%. It's really strong stuff. And I drink it neat as well. So it's really quite, it smells good though.
Stop.
Oh, I'm becoming an alcoholic, I told you. It's just one step at a time. You got to start at like drinking at 5 p.m. and then 3 p.m. and then 2 p.m. You got to ease yourself into it. You can't just like wake up straight away and have a bottle of vodka. It just doesn't work like that.
Chris he's doing an experiment. He's doing an experiment like supersize me. Except instead of living off McDonald's, it's whiskey.
Living off whiskey. I'm just living on whiskey.
Experiment.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right. Enough of the craziness. Whoa. Okay, I've got somebody with me in the flat. Brennan.
Sorry about that.
Hey, Brennan.
Hey, guys.
Brennan says hi.
Hey, Brennan.
Yeah.
Right, come on, enough of silliness. Okay, what are we doing over the weekend? Nothing. But Shinobi, you got some stuff to upload?
There are two surprises coming this weekend. We have Farts Part 2 with Chris DeRose, where some of us discuss Bitcoin governance, and then a surprise talk with somebody that you may or may not know about the macroeconomic aspect of things and monetary policy centered around John Nash's sound money theories. So two surprises coming.
Spoiler,
You did,
it's good stuff.
Very good stuff. Shanine?
Yeah, so I have a fun fact that I read today. Apparently, the word cyber actually comes from the Greek word that means governance.
Sweet.
What?
Wait, so that's what I was doing when I was cybering with all those totally girls
Yes,
that
you were
back when I was a
governing.
teenager.
Well, they weren't
Well,
girls. 'Cause
yeah.
There were no girls on the internet. There were no girls on the internet. Those were dudes, dude, pretending to be girls.
Yeah,
There were no.
So
No, they were girls.
Shinobi.
They were girls.
They were not girls, dude. They were just
Shinobi.
dudes that were sending you porn pictures, telling you they were girls. There were no
Shinobi.
women on the internet in the 90s.
Shinobi, it was Krista Rose the whole time.
He was governing it.
He'll confirm it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the governance is not that good. Yeah, that is really, of course, it comes from the Greek. Everything comes from Greek. Everything comes from Greek. Always check what it means in Greek, then you're good to go. I don't have anything else. Everyone, subscribe. I guess we're ending the show.
No, don't.
And
they should only subscribe if they want to, dude. It's voluntary.
no,
They should subscribe to
know.
World Crypto Network. Unsubscribe
I
from this one.
No, no, we're just giving. We're tone down the ethics. We're just giving advice.
Tone
This is my
down the
Tone
ethics.
down.
Tone down the ethics.
What a mem.
Dial
down
down the ethics. Dial
Dial
the
down.
ethics. Dial,
Tone down
dial
is
them
it?
back, dial them back.
Anyway,
No, don't tone it. Don't. No, you don't tone it down. You
Yes.
dial back.
yeah,
the ethics.
that's more like somewhat objective.
That's somewhat objective. You're right. But the point is, you don't get to bro down unless you dial back on your ethics a little bit in life. All right. If you just try and do the right thing all the time, you're never going to make any money because nobody rewards good things. All right. That's the lesson. Moral of the story. That's today's lesson, everybody. Yay.
All right.
Good deal.
Good deal. You liking that? Everyone ready for your bro down?
Hey, you know what? You don't need money to be happy, man. You just find that place.
Just find that place where you don't need money to be happy. But for everybody else in the rest of the world, don't forget to screw everyone over on your way to the top, tread on everyone, and make lots of money. You can, if you've enjoyed today's show, you can like and subscribe. But remember, only if you want to. Bye for now, everyone. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.